Hello, all you drama enthusiasts. Welcome to the meeting. This is Angie's Drama Room, and I am your meeting host, Angie. And if you don't mind, before I go into what I'm going to be doing today, go ahead and hit that subscription button, hit that like button. I appreciate all the subscriptions I have gotten, and I would appreciate you guys tuning in and joining in on the meeting. And today, we're going to be discussing I would have said the weekly roundup, but however, I'm going to say the quarterly roundup because these are Chinese dramas that came out in this last quarter. And I thought some of them I saw and some of them I didn't see. So I just decided to make this my quarterly roundup and just talk about these C dramas or Chinese dramas that came out. So let's just talk about the Chinese dramas in the quarter. Let's talk about the Vendetta of An. This is on Netflix. It's a Youku drama. Uh, I will say that Youku has been interesting lately, to say the least, of their dramas, whether it is costume or whether it is contemporary. Last Youku drama, I believe I saw, well, not, well, second to the last was contemporary drama. And I can't even think of the name right now. And so, yeah, that one was not the best. It wasn't bad. I did kind of get a little rant on it, but it was just weird. But let's talk about the Vendetta of An. Again, this is from Netflix. Actually, I started watching it, and it was actually pretty good. It was interesting. It's about a young man who basically they said, "Are you here to try to clear your family's name?" He said, "You know what? That's over and done with. I'm here for revenge." And one of the things about it is, though, it's a lot of communication. So it's a lot of dialoguing. So you do have to pay attention to what is being said, who these people are. But if you follow the narrative, I think it'd be okay. I'm not actively watching it, but I am kind of here and there watching it. I'm actually may stop, but I don't know yet. But it is interesting drama. So if you want to check it out, go ahead and check it out. Love and Crown. That's the Yuku drama, costume drama. I believe this starred Ellen Wren. I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, so it's only, I believe, a 24 episode or 30 something episode drama, 35 episode drama. And I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, you know. And then by the time I got to the 20th episode, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, what am I watching? And what it is that, and what the interesting about it is, it focused towards the end of the drama. It focused a lot on the sub characters and their storyline. And I'm like, okay. And then when it came to Alan Wren and the female lead in this drama, it seems like they really didn't have any connection or any scenes together after the 20th episode almost. And so they brought it in. It just seems like something happened. And so they really didn't have any scenes together. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And so when they had to come together as a couple, because she got drugged by her father, and Alan Wren thought they were married at this point. Alan Wren thought she was, advancing himself on him, and the character, the actor rather, but I'm talking about the character itself. And when it was like the scenes were cut so, and you could see her tight face of her leaning in, you could see his tight face, but then when it came to the whole, it was just him, and that was it. I'm like, that was weird. I mean, my thought was they didn't put enough thought into this romantic scene to draw us in, which they usually do. And I was like, okay. It's like maybe 10 episodes later, she still didn't know if she liked this man. 10 episodes later, she was supposed to, and now all of a sudden she says she's pregnant. And I'm like, wait a minute, at what point did I miss something? Because they did, in a way they had it where they had them, they did shoot a scene of them in the bed together, but she was laying on one side and he was laying on the other side. It was just a steady shot of him laying there. And then 3 or 4 episodes later, she's saying that she's pregnant. I'm like, but the last 5 episodes, it really, and then they started cutting stuff. Like they had to cut a lot of stuff out. So that's the reason why I said something must have went down, because they started cutting a lot of stuff out. and it was focusing a lot on the sub characters, and they kept bringing in and out this the prince, and like they had to add scenes in it to cut other scenes out. So I'm not privy to what's going on in China and on their celebrity pages because I don't have those platforms here, and I couldn't. So I was wondering if they were really something was going on between them that they can't. So they had to cut a lot of scenes out. And towards the end, they really did not have any scenes together by the 30th episode, and especially on and he gets kidnapped. She goes tries to find it. So yeah, but that was kind of interesting. Let's talk about Speed and Love. This is stars Esther Wu, I think it's Wu, and I'm not familiar with the male lead, but I believe I understand where he came from. Um, I stopped watching that one only because Esther Wu has the same delivery and the same soft spoken little girlish type of thing. So every drama she was in, starting even from when she was in the Devil and the whatever that one was. The last one I saw her on was with Lin Yi, I believe that's his name, with the skiing thing. And then here with Speed and Love, it's the same. And at some point, the maturity has to kick in, and they can't continually using her as this girlish, voicey type of person, even though she's supposed to be a girl, like a teenage girl, because, and then she tries to find her brother. I don't like those stuff either. They grew up together, but they're not necessarily related. But they grew up together, and come to find out, he was not necessarily the father is not really his son. He just took him in because he couldn't leave him because somebody else, his buddy asked him to take him. So I guess that's kind of how they're saying there's no connection whatsoever between them. But I don't like that. They lived together. They did things together as a family. Now they're trying to say, but the mom probably, I guess, I don't know, mom threw him out, threw the daddy out, threw him out, and they mistouched for maybe 10 years. So, I guess that's kind of them saying that, whatever. But that's kind of where the Speed of Love is. It just didn't, and they go, it's kind of funny. They're in China. He gets kicked out so him and the dad goes to Thailand, and basically surviving, struggling in Thailand. Daddy becomes a drunk. And so then they're just there trying to survive. But I believe I think they're on right now on episode 20. I stopped at episode 6, 7, and 8. I don't think I'm somewhere right there. So they're on episode 20, but I think now he guys cleaned his life up. They got together, they broke up, they trained together, whatever. But that's the only reason why I stopped. Maybe I'll jump in on it later after they got out of Thailand, because in Thailand it just doesn't make sense to me. And let's talk about some adult romantic dramas where we talking about 30 and up. Know more about these, and let's talk about second chance romance. I'm adult, right? I'm a little bit older than most of these idol dramas. Speed of Love is an idol drama, 100% idol drama, cutesy, fluffy idol drama. Love and Crown is an idol drama, costume drama. But second chance romance is still an idol drama, but it's for 30 and up. So there's a little bit more of an adult content where it comes to dialoguing and what interactions that are being done. But the only reason why I stopped watching, the tone of the characters was getting a little condescending. I know they're not being necessarily, the characters were being condescending, but the tone they were projecting. And I'm like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Talk, would you please just talk to each other normally? And it was an interesting plot. I'm like, huh? It was a ballerina. She retired out. She comes back home, and she meets up again with her ex, and the ex has a son, but he also this is also this woman is around who I guess is the son's piano teacher or teacher, but she's always in front of everybody, always in front of him, and he like almost like the nanny, but it's not the nanny, but it's almost like she's trying to be the family. And I was like, okay, he got a son. Okay. But as episodes were playing and she kind of was moving all over and moving on, like this son, oh, okay. And as episodes were playing, she was pregnant during 12 years ago, because 12 years later, 12 years ago, she was pregnant. But the mother of the male lead didn't like her. So we got, that type of thing going on. So I guess they're saying that the child died. So, uh, and she left. So the mother told him that she didn't love him anymore, and she left. And he's like, this, she would never do that, but he accepted it. So now I guess you're trying to figure out how you gonna this little boy here. So unless she thought the boy actually died and this is somebody different, but or she knows this is her son, and the way she's acting, like you never knew this is she thinking this son. And so the little boy is trying to think, goes like, "Where's my mom?" Trying to ask, but grandma's saying nothing, daddy's not saying nothing. So he has this picture of a sun flashing in front of her as a ballerina figure. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. But again, I kind of stopped watching that one only because of the tone. I didn't like the tone of the dialogue that was going forth. It may actually be okay, but if I might pick it back up, there's nothing much on left during these Christmas holidays. I might pick it back up. Who knows what happens? Let's talk about love. Let's see here. There was another one, Sniper Butterfly, another adult romantic drama. The female lead, Michelle Chin, I think that's her name. She is 43 or 42 or something like that, right? And usually I'm not too much to say about age gaps. I get it. But if you look the part, I'm okay with it. But with Michelle Chin, she's 42. The male lead in here, he's 23, almost half her age. And and when she came about and when I saw him, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? And okay. And they are playing, and I said, are they playing this off as her being a older woman seeking, the younger man? Because again, something about them in the hometown. Her family took him in to help him, or she helped him. Who knows? They separated. Now he's back, and now he's trying to get into this company or something. I don't know. I didn't even go that far. But one thing about Michelle, so I'm okay if you're talking about a cougar relationship, or I think they call it mirror suit. Right? If you're talking about that, I'm okay with that. But when you're talking about here, you're saying, but Michelle Chan, she looks like a mother or like a housewife mother. Then she looks like some sexy, appealing woman. So it's like it ain't working. This ain't working. I mean, I've seen a lot of those dramas where you talk about an older woman, younger man, the younger guy. But if the younger guy is actually in his 30s and this woman is in her 40s, that's good. But you're talking about 20-year age difference between this woman and the male lead in here. Yeah, and her Michelle Chen again, too much of a mothery figure is not matching. It's just not matching. If the male lead was in his 30s or perceived to be in his 30s, maybe, but he still looks like a little kid. So yeah, this is not meshing together. So I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And again, usually age gaps are not necessarily a foe for me, right? But this one, when you're talking about half the age, and you're talking about a romantic relationship, and she doesn't look sexy appealing as a woman. No, it wasn't working. I saw her in a Dear Enemy, which she was adulting there, which is no problem because who she was hooked up with, her role she was playing. But here, short Bob is throwing it. Maybe if they had her a little bit longer hair, maybe a little bit more of a different dress. but again, she's wearing suits, short bob hair. This it's just not working. Why he is still single? Another old adult romantic drama. This time you're talking about two adults. They're both around the same age, give or take a couple of years. So it wasn't. This is not too bad. And with this one, why is he still single? I actually did watch the whole thing. It's only 16 episodes, so I'm watching. I'm watching it, and basically is about a woman doctor, a female lead. She's a woman doctor. Our male lead is a interior designer or something like that. And the way they met, they did their make you, but however, the way, because we know we have to deal with the doctor, and they gave him hemorrhoids. So you're saying if you're over a certain age at 40, you get hemorrhoids, I guess. I don't know. So he had hemorrhoid issues, and so he had to go to the doctor to get this all worked out. It's cutesy. It's a little bit more cutesier drama than we had about Second Chance and Sniper Butterfly. It's a little bit more cutesier, idle adult cutesiness. So it wasn't dramatic adult drama, romantic drama, like they try to make it from Second Chance and Sniper Butterfly. So it still had its fluffy sweetness, but it wasn't as much fluff when it came to, if you're talking about younger generation. They did have younger person in there. He's been on a couple other dramas, the second male lead, and they tear away from the other girl, the second female lead. So they didn't. Usually they put them together, but this time he already had a significant other that he wanted to be with. So she was just there as the friend to the doctor. Again, you're talking about half of age. I'm like, why is this 20-year-old hanging out with this adult? So they try to bring in the younger generation in order to boost the drama a little bit. And so I guess that's probably why. And so it so happens that the girl lived next door to the male lead. And so that's how they continually found each other. He didn't like people coming to his house, so everything was outside the house. He was a very crass person. He doesn't mean to be, but he's very spoken. What he says, and he doesn't understand why people. So he can really detour people away from him. So that was the whole challenge. And so his mother's trying to get him to get married. He's had a sister. He had a brother-in-law. Brother-in-law was a assistant director of the hospital that the woman worked in. And that was by the time the 16th episode came around, he finally came to her, gave her the kiss, and it was in. It was done. I'm like, wait a minute, what? And you just kind of watching it. I'm just kind of watching him, thinking, okay, it's a good watch. I'm glad I'm watching it. All right. But when it was over, it was over. That was it. They kissed. And I'm like, my husband was like, they kissed. So what more did you want? He offered her to come into his house. I'm like, okay. So that's kind of, they did together. But the thing I did not care too much for was when I talk about the young lady, the second female lead young lady who was the next door neighbor. So she got dumped by her boyfriend. So she moved in. That's the reason why she moved in next door to him. And so by the 14 to 15 episode, the boyfriend came back around, but it was a grown man. I'm like, wait a minute, what? A sleazy grown man, like, is almost stalking her. I'm like, and the way they made it seem in the beginning when she got dumped, it was like some childish, like he was just her same age as her, because he shipped all her stuff to her in boxes and made her pay the. So that's something that I wouldn't necessarily say an adult man would do. And she lived with this man. And now we're saying is the fact that when the boyfriend comes back around, it's a sleazy 40-year-old man, same age as the male lead almost. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, what's going on? And I mean, I could see the man was in a business suit or something, but no, he was just a sleazy man stalking her because now he wanted her back. And so she gets saved by her neighbor, the male lead. And then the male lead ended up, and then she falls for the male lead. knowing that the doctor liked her because they became friends. Yeah, interesting show. But that's the reason why by the 16th episode, I'm like, what is going on? So I thought they were bringing some other guy for her, but no, they this is what it was. This is how they wanted to play it. She leaves to, and then she's a car salesperson, and she hasn't sold a car, so she uses connections, which is fine. We all use connections. So she sells 5 cars in one day. So now, because she sold 5 cars in one day, they wanted her to go and do a manager training. It was just luck, because the, her neighbor Mel Lee found the person, and it was my this is there was adult bicycling club, and they just retired out, and so now they had to get vehicles, and so she sold them 5 vehicles. I wish anybody could do that, but yeah. But again, I watched the whole thing. It was okay. So let's go back. Let's talk about Love on the Turquoise Land, which is Del Raba and Chin Zing Zhu. He was an interpreter, and my boss. Everybody knows Del Raba. You know, You Are My Glory, The Long Ballad. She was on a lot of other dramas. So this drama is like a fantasy, mystical, horror, suspense drama. That's something I don't like, and some people like it. Matter of fact, my husband, he sits there. We happen to have the TV on, and he wanted to watch it. He thinks it's good. That's because he likes stuff like that. But for me, I don't like stuff like that. I don't like gore. It's not gory, but I don't. It's just stuff like that. I don't like it, so I don't watch stuff like that. So I stopped short of it. I haven't turned it back on yet, because he hasn't watched it again. That's the only time I will probably go watch it. And again, but that's what that drama is. And then, so that looks like those are all the dramas that I have been watching. And on the end of the quarter dramas, there was also a drama called Blood River. Again, that was beginning of the quarter. I stopped watching that one. It was just too much AI and CG. This one starred, I can't think of his name right now. Oh, forgive me. Um, it was just too much CGA AI, and I know they said it's a part of a series, but I don't think you needed to watch the first two to figure out what was going on. It just didn't appeal to me. Then it was Fight for Love. It wasn't enough. It was like it was enough impact for the male lead. His family. I'm after coming off of a lot of the strong male leads in each drama, coming into Fight for Love. I thought I was going to go into something like that, because his family. It was about 7 brothers. I thought it was like 7 brothers for seven. It reminds me of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, the musical. And so he had 7 brothers, including his father. Or I think it was 6 brothers, including his father, because he was the seventh son. And he loved his older brother. And so they treated him, all his brothers treated him like a very, as a younger brother who, just a young brother. He could do whatever he wanted to, right? And then I think there's 5 of them were married. The oldest brother wasn't. And here comes our female lead, Victoria Song, and she did something in order to. She's telling them that wanted to marry the older brother only because to tell the older brother that something was happening, and he agreed to it. But they had to go to this war, and come to find out it was a spy, and they lied to them, and so all the brothers perished in this war, including the father. He was the only one who survived because they told him to stay behind, and he was the only one who survived. So I thought they would have made him, after his brothers died and he gets arrested, and then the mama ended her own life as a martyr to repent of her family's sins, but they still arrested the little boy, the male lead, the younger brother, 7th brother, still arrested him, tortured him, And so Victoria's Song and the other wives kneeled at the king's gates in the winter, trying to get him out of prison. And then the king, I think it was the king's son, who was the one who did all this and lied. And so they said, well, I tried to tell the general, which is the general's the father. I tried to tell him, but he wouldn't listen to me. Now the king knew this man is lying, his son is lying to him, but he is the son. So when the king found out what was going on with the seventh brother, he kind of like, why is he being tortured? He barely could walk, he barely could move. And so the person who was doing the torture, he said, well, I was doing what they would, no, because he was acting on behalf of the king, right? So the king told him to go somewhere, but the king is not the one who did all this. And so he got out of prison, and you would think that he would be now more outspoken, because more of that strong trying to get revenge or clear his family's name. But no, this one is really Victoria's Song, female driven. It was totally about her and trying to search out the spy in the land. So it was about her. And I think that's a lot of these dramas lately, very strong female leads coming from the female general. So they would focus a lot on the strong female lead, and Victoria's Song is too old to be playing a little girlish type voicing, sexy, little girlish voicing. She's too for these type of drama. So I kind of stopped watching that because it was slow. Then it got the drama hits when the family, what happened with the brothers. Then he got out of prison. From there, went back down. He was there every once in a while trying to help, but it was really Victoria's Song who had everything, who was doing everything. And so, but I think, and so she had that little, like Esther Wu had a little childish voice. If they made her more sexy and coy, but no, they made her too sweet and childish. Um, and then let's talk about Love in the Clouds. I stopped watching that one. It actually wasn't too bad, but the problem with Love in the Clouds, it was a lot of. This one was definitely one of those idle, sugary, sweet, fluffy type of young antics drama. And some people like that. Some people were raving, oh, the chemistry, the cuteness. It got a little cringy for me, talking about say my name. What you saying? So it got a little cringy for me when he was talking about that. But people thought that was kind of cute and sexy, but it was too much of a little bit of a childish antics, and I didn't care too much for that. But it wasn't going to be bad, but it's just something I just didn't care for, and that's the reason why I kind of stopped watching that. And the last one I want to talk about is Whisper of Fate. Whisper of Faith was actually not too bad either, but it seems like the male lead, Lu Yunzi, he's been in a lot of them. He has the eye for these type of wuxia dramas. He has a great eye for it, but this one was weird. um, it's like he only comes in when needed, and then it's mostly focused on the supporting cast. They go out, they till the ground, they go out trying to find something. They're trying to find this who's been trying to get rid of certain sectors, poisoning or something, and they're blaming him. The beginning was actually pretty good. That's the reason why it caught me, and I did continue to watch it. But then after it starts to make no sense, and then they had there was a scene where they were doing futuristic, where they was using his boat, flying a boat, and using spears. Like, what the heck is going on? It's drama. It sounds like we were talking about futuristic apocalyptic drama here. But so that's kind of the only reason why I stopped. It was just starting not to make any sense, and trying to follow it. He's playing two roles, but it was a lot of switching face like the character wasn't the character, but it was somebody who's playing the character and making that character evil. But then when it comes to the actual person, so that got kind of a lot confusing. So that's kind of reason why I kind of dropped that. All right, so those are all the Chinese dramas of the end of the quarter. Those are my roundup. Tell me what you think about these dramas. Which ones did you watch? Which ones you think about it? Did you watch any of it? Again, if you don't mind, hitting that subscription button, hitting that like button. I really appreciate it. And I will see you next quarter, beginning of the year. I am about to ready to do a roundup, and stay tuned for the second part of this drama where it's going to be Korean dramas. Thank you for watching. Meeting adjourned.